welcome to the Cellar. I'm your host, Richard Glover, and you're tuned in to another night in the Cellar, where we talk about wine, fashion, and lifestyle. The Cellar is an innovative forum inciting provocative conversation about wine, fashion, and lifestyle. And we talk to wine owners, vineyards, other sommeliers, master somms, enthusiasts, and as well as wine consumers who, like yourself, love to enjoy wine as well as they like fashion and lifestyle. We also invite people of other industries and other major industries to talk about things that are happening and the current events that are going on around us in the world that we live in today. Tonight I have an amazing guest that's going to be joining us shortly on the Cellar. He's been here before. He is a retired United States Marshal, and his name is Matthew Fogg. He's also an author. But we're gonna bring him in shortly, but we got a couple of things we have to do around the house here, and that is we got to give a nice shout out to our Cellar Nation. Thank you so much for all of the emails that I've been getting and all of the texts and the DMs and telling us how much you really like the show. We thank you so much for liking the show. We thank you for tuning in every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with us as we talk about wine, fashion, and lifestyle and current events. We have a topic tonight, and this topic is about wine and fashion, but it's also, we did a part one before, it's about 5 or 6 months ago. We did a show called Black and Blue, the plight of Black Americans in America. And that topic was, we had a couple of guests. We had some preachers, we had some community leaders, we had some officers, local officers that talked about this epidemic that we got going on, and that's about African men and women that are African American men and women that are being killed at the hands of law enforcement. These are the people that we hire and that we pay through our taxes to serve and protect us. But we have a serious epidemic going on now that's been happening for years, since Emmett Till. We all remember George Floyd last May when 9 minutes and 20. We remember so many African American men and women, young people, and people who are a little older, in their 40s, that Eric Gardner and all of the men and women that have had to lose their life to the hands of the people that we pay to serve and protect us. There's a big wedge between the African American community and law enforcement. Everybody remember just recently on Today, Dante Wright, and another young lady who was in the middle of a fight with someone and the police shot her because she was wielding a knife, the 16-year-old. What are we going to do about this? How is America going to handle this epidemic? This is serious. This is bad. We've been fighting for years to be treated as Americans because we have ancestors that have built and tilled the yards and the grounds of this country. African American slaves built the Capitol that we call our temple of democracy. What is going on now? Why are we still having young men and young women killed at the hand of law enforcement? These are the people, like I said earlier, they're supposed to protect and serve. Why is it that I'm afraid to drive at night? Because I fear that if I see the red and lights behind me, that when they pull over, that is some policeman or policewoman that's off the hinge and that's hollering at me because I'm asking them a question. Why? Just in Windsor, Virginia, we had a gentleman who's a military veteran, and he's been accosted by the police who tells him, so what? I'm a military veteran as well. Get out the car. Where's the respect to the African American community? Well, we're going to talk about all that tonight. We're going to share with you, and I will hope that you can send an email to richard@thecellarwineshow.com and share with me your thoughts. So we're going to get ready and we'll get started into the show tonight. Of course, we have our girl that's here from Detroit. She's always bringing some great ideas and great tips when it comes to glam and it comes to outfits and getting ready to finish out the spring and go into the summer, and then when from the summer is over and into the fall. Let's bring on this a wonderful and amazing Malia Lopez, Glam with Malia. Hi, Malia.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you tonight?
I'm good. I'm good.
Great, great, great. I love the hair color. I've been seeing you sport that hair color. You're going from were you a brunette before?
Yes, yeah, I had total black hair now, and now it's kind of between a brown and a blonde. I'm trying to spice it up for summertime, give myself a different look, and especially get ready for Miami this July.
Absolutely, Miami, July the 5th through the 8th.
Yes, I am super excited. I can't wait to enjoy that nice weather down there.
Absolutely, it's going to be amazing. What's happening in Miami?
Well, actually, that week from July 5th to maybe like the 9th or so, that's actually going to be Miami Swim Week, also with the Miss Bikini US pageant that we are directing as well.
Awesome. I think I'm excited about it. It's been a whole year since we've had the pageant. Well, now, 2 years now, almost 2 years because we didn't do anything last year.
That is, oh my gosh, time goes by so
I know
fast.
because of COVID, we wasn't able to have the Miss Bikini pageant last year. So it's going to
Yes.
happen
Oh,
this year, 2021.
yes, I am super ready. I'm already counting down the days.
Have you gotten your girls ready?
I am, yes, I'm getting a few ready, and then I also have a few recruited as well. How are your girls coming along?
Well, my girls are calling me and texting me 24/7. Want to know when we're going to talk, when we're going to meet. What's next? What am I supposed to get ready for, Richard? So, I have added a few states, a couple of states to my region because I'm the director of the Mid Atlantic region, which covers New York, New Jersey, D.C., Maryland, Virginia. I've added this year Illinois and Indiana.
Dang, oh my gosh.
So right now I got 5 girls I'm bringing down, and I'm hoping to bring about a few more, along with that. So I'm excited. I've been getting the gym, getting ready for, da, 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 for the beach. The Hilton Cabana
Yes,
is where we're going to be at. Which is it's an amazing hotel.
I love that place. It's so tropical. It doesn't even feel like you're in Miami at all.
Exactly, exactly. And we didn't do it the year before because we went to another hotel, the Grand Beach. But I tell
Yes,
you, I really miss the Hilton Cabana. I mean,
yeah.
it had that, like you said, that tropical flavor to it, and actually that's where you started competing at, right?
Yes, that's actually the first time, or I've been down to Miami a few other times, but that's actually where my career started from my director who helped me, and then all the connections that I made and meeting all the photographers. Like, that's like a hot place to go. So if you want to start your
Right.
modeling career, that's a place to go.
That's right. That's right. The Bikini Tribe and the Bikini
Yes.
Tribe photography crew, all the directors and an amazing national director, Miss Dawn. You know,
Yes.
Dawn is just, Dawn
They
is
do a
amazing.
wonderful like organization. They do everything so well, and they
Yes.
welcome the girls, and I love it.
Yes, yes. Everything is so to the point. They dot every I and they cross every T, and that's why when we go down there, we dot all the I's and cross all the T's. Great, can't wait to see you there.
Yes, I can't wait to see you there too. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so
It's
nice
gonna
down
be
there.
so much fun. I'm hoping that we can get you here in the studio before you go down to Miami too. You know,
Yes, yes, that is a plan. That is coming along soon.
awesome, great. So, what do you have for us tonight from Glam with Malia?
Yes, so I will still be talking about spring trends, especially I'm still going off for the guys as well. So I've been doing a little research, and I know guys really like colognes and really like those nice brands. So I looked up on this place called Nordstrom Rack that I was talking about previously last week, and they have really good brands such as like Jimmy Choo, Versace, and Calvin Klein. Those are the most top three sellers that they have over there. And they're usually about like 65% off. So usually like a bottle is like, let's just say like 200 or so. You're going to get it off for maybe about 34 or $35. Vincent Camadio, he is really good. Those smell really good. One of my friends like really recommended it. They're like, Malia, like you got to put this on your show. This is top three. Just like having those like amazing brands and like those smells are gonna last on you, especially for the guys. For the summertime, you know how we all like get like a little sweaty. You want to put something nice on, especially if you're going on a date with your girlfriend or your wife, or maybe you're just going out to a club and hanging out with some friends. You just want to like make sure that like you look good and you feel good by having really nice cologne,
Awesome.
especially with these designer brands like Versace, like this blue one right here. That one is top of the line. Like one of my friends have it. It just smells so good. It smells like a really like light black ice scent, and it
Hmm.
just kind of like just like gets you. It just smells so good. Like sometimes like I got like a little sample of it, and I'm pretty obsessed with it. But yeah, I would say Nordstrom Rack. I know some people do think a Nordstrom Rack is a little high, but they have some really good prices, especially with designer brands and like basically what you're looking for. If you don't want to spend that much money, and just be like, oh, like $40 or $50 a bottle, which is perfect fine. This Jimmy Choo one that did actually sell out a few times on Nordstrom Rack as well. So that one's like I think a 2 or 3 ounce, which isn't that bad. And they also have travel sizes as well. And like I said before, if you don't have the app of the Nordstrom Rack, download it, and I believe you can get $5 off your purchase. And I possibly think you might be able to pick it up in stores depending on what state you are in. But yeah, those are the top three most sellers, especially for 2021, especially when people want to go out and go out to eat and just have fun. Um, yeah, I would totally recommend those. Those are really good brands. Those brands will never let you down, and they'll boost up your confidence. And yeah, they are pretty good. I really like them a lot, especially, yeah.
Awesome. So, I carry Jimmy Choo in my arsenal. I have the Jimmy Choo Man and the Jimmy Choo Urban. So, I kind of like it when I wear jeans or if I'm wearing, slacks with a shirt like I'm wearing today and a hat. I like to put those on, when I'm in my casual wear. But I think with the Jimmy Choo Man, you can wear that if you're suited down, suited and booted, as my friends would say. Richard, you suited and booted, and what are you wearing? So yeah, I have Jimmy Choo in my arsenal, and I'm glad to know that that's in the top bracket of wines. And I'm thinking of wine, top bracket of perfumes and colognes for men. I tell you, everything has its categories, and that's totally awesome, But I'm glad that you're sharing that with the men because sometimes the men say you talk about the ladies stuff all the way, and men we don't get glammed out, we get handsome and and smell good. So I'm glad you're sharing that with the men. That's awesome, great. I'm looking forward to that, to wearing my Jimmy Choo Man in Miami.
That'll be perfect.
Awesome, great. Hey, Malia, how can our listeners and how can our viewers reach out to you if they have other questions beyond the show?
Yes, of course. So you can message me on Instagram at MaliaL16. My email, which is MaliaLopez3@gmail.com. Or if you just want to message me on Instagram and just ask me for my email, you are more than welcome. You can follow my page. You can watch my stories because I'm always giving glam tips or promoting a product. You can always ask me on your opinion on stuff like, oh, is this really good for your skin? What kind of cologne would you recommend? Like, I'm always here for you. I got you guys. I try a lot of products. So, like, I mostly have reviews on mostly everything. So,
Awesome. So Malia is the sommelier with us for a little bit tonight, and we're going to talk about this. Malia, just hang out with us, okay? I have a wine that I want you to know about.
can't control the night.
What?
You can't control the night.
It's an open box that you have stolen. What once was locked has now been broken. Your empty words to try convince me you were my rock, but now there's nothing.
And welcome back to the Cellar. I'm your host, Richard Glover. You're tuned into another epic night in the Cellar where we talk about wine, fashion, and lifestyle. And I gotta give a great shout out to my girl, Emma G. DC. I'm gonna say she's DC's own by way of New Zealand. An incredible artist, singer, writer, and also actress because she has a short film that's coming out. This short film is coming out tomorrow. And she's going to also be performing her fourth album tomorrow night at the Pearl Street Warehouse in Washington, D.C. I mean, right now, I understand that the indoor tables are almost sold out and that there's still room in the outdoor tables. Emma, if you're paying attention or watching me, I'm coming to see you tomorrow night. She was here about a week ago on the show. There was we talked about her new album, and we talked about her new videos that are out. Emma has really become a fabric of the District of Columbia, this area, because her songs about the struggle, her songs about love, her songs about friendship, her songs about just being good, spreading love all over the world, and I'm always glad to have her here on the show. So Emma G, yes, I'm gonna shout out to you tomorrow night at the Pearl Street Warehouse, where you're going to be introducing your 4th album and your short film bio. So this is amazing, Emma, just to give them a shout out to you. So right now, what I do right now is I want to go to my wine tasting, because I still have Malia in the studio on standby, and I also have my other special guest, Mr. Matthew Fogg. I'm going to bring them in, but let me first go to the wine of the week. And the wine of the week is a Chianti. And so this is a Sardelli Chianti, and it's a wine that's out of Toscana, Italy. It's famous for its food-friendly, approachable wine, and it has a lot of storied history. Chianti is perhaps the best-known wine region of Italy. This appellation within Toscana has it all. I mean, sweeping valleys, sweeping views of rolling hills, endless vineyards, the warm Mediterranean sun, hearty cuisines, and a rich artistic heritage. Chianti includes 7 subzones. Chianti, and these 7 subzones are all around that Toscana type area in Italy. And when you think about Italy, Chianti Classico is in the heart of the Chianti zone, which is now no longer a subzone of the region at all, but has been recognized on its own since 1996. The classical region today is delimited by the confines of the original Chianti zone, protected since the 1700s. So tonight we're going to taste Sardelli Chianti from out of the Chianti Valley. So, all right, as I always say, this is a fruit-forward wine. It's food-friendly, fruit-forward, fruit-friendly. When you look into the light, you see the plum and the black cherry look of it. And when you smell it, oh my goodness, it smells heavenly. Now I'm going to do another swirl, because I like to do a technical tasting. And I'm going to smell it again. Now it opens up. I can smell the notes. I can smell the tannins, and it's not like a full body like a Temporello. It's sort of a smooth type of smell to it, which means it's gonna have a smooth smell, a smooth taste, just like having a Merlot or a Pinot. So I say put it in between the middle of a Merlot or a Pinot. Now this is not one of the wines that you always hear people talk about, because of its unique type of flavor and unique type of way of raising the grapes and harvesting the grapes and then making the wine itself, the production of the wine. Look, I'm going to show you, there's something that a lot of people like to call legs, but you can see how the alcohol in the wine kind of slowly drapes down. I don't know if you can see that, but yes, you can see that. And so let's go taste it. All right, so there's 3 types of taste. The first taste is when you lay it on your tongue. You touch the wine with your tongue. The second taste is when you lay it on your palate for 10 to 13 seconds. You begin to taste the ingredients. You begin to taste the wine itself, and of course, what happens when you finish up, and it's the finish. So here we go. Wow, just like I said, there's no bite in the beginning. There's no bite. But when you lay it on your palate, you begin to taste a little bit of the peppers. You begin to taste a little bit of the other ingredients that's in it. And again, like I said, it's very food friendly. So I would pair it with chicken. I would pair it with fish, shrimps. I would pair it with anything that's gourmet. And of course, I would pair it with any type of meats, veal or steak. It's the type of wine that'll go with almost everything. So it's very food friendly and it's very fruit forward. So that's the wine for the week, and the brand is Sardelli, and the wine is a Nancy, I'm just enjoying this wine. So great. That's our wine of the week. Shintani. I'm saying it again. I'm messing it up again. I'm not gonna say it anymore. Anyway, hey, let's go to a quick break. Do we have time for a quick break? Then I want to bring in our guest for the night. Great. We're gonna go to a quick break. I'm gonna clear my throat, and then we'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. You're tuned into The Cellar with Richard Glover, where we talk about wine, fashion, and lifestyle.
What are you doing here?
There's something I need to say.
I don't want to see you. Go away.
You're right. You're right. I have forgotten how to act like a normal human being. And I play games, I lie, and I trick people to avoid the truth of how I feel. And the idea of letting anyone close to me is terrifying for obvious reasons.
This wine, and it was tasting so good that I had to mess up the name, but that was the Chianti wine out of Italy. And I want to welcome my guest to The Cellar, retired United States Marshal, a good friend of mine's, been on a lot of trips with him, and he's got a story for us tonight. Tonight, of course, our show, not only are we talking about wine, we're also talking about part 2 of a segment that we did about 5-6 years ago, and Matthew was in the studio with us, and it was called Black and Blue, the plight of Black Americans and the blue, law enforcement. So, Matthew, welcome to The Cellar again.
Hey, good to be with you, brother.
Are you using the can you put your hands up on the car type of voice?
Yeah, man. You know, I mean,
stand away from the car.
Away from the vehicle.
So Matthew, tell us, man, what's going on? What is going on out here, man? Why in 2021 we are still having not just one here and there, but multiple young African American men and women being murdered at the hands of the folks that we pay to protect and serve us?
Right. Well, you know, my background is, over 30 years in law enforcement. I write about it. I talk about it. My book, which is Bigots with Badges, is going to be coming out soon. The Road to Damascus, everything that I went through and how God had just kept his head around me, because I really shouldn't be talking right now. But in law enforcement, it's a culture. And the culture goes all the way back from whenever they started really commissioning law enforcement people. They wanted them to basically make sure that they kept slaves at first in check, and then afterwards making sure our communities and stuff were safe from the black folks that were released and were now free societies. So law enforcement has a rich history of bias, culture, racism that's always been there. And if you worked in it, like when I got in it over 30-some years ago, when I got in over 30-some years ago, I noticed it right off, straight from the very beginning, coming out of the academy and all the right ways to do things. At the academy, you learn all of the proper ways to do stuff. And I never got, when I got to my duty station, the first thing the manager, the chief guy who's in charge, told me, Fogg, I know you guys learned all that stuff at the academy. He said, but let that stuff go. This is how we do it here. And at that point in time, I realized I was stepping into a culture of indifference, a place where you're talking about, we do it our way. So like I had a college degree, 4-year degree in criminal justice administration. I had also, when I was a young kid, had some experience with dealing with law enforcement that shouldn't have never occurred. Got locked up. Well, let me just say this. When I was young, I always remember, because of the boys club, the segregation still existed when I was a young kid, and so we couldn't get in the boys club. And I always remember one day we would play with these little white kids because they would come back into the neighborhood to go to the club, but us black kids who lived in the neighborhood couldn't go to the club. So one day we played with these little kids because we didn't know about racism. But then when the doors opened up, we go run up the steps and go in the club. White guy would stop the black kids and let the white kids go on in. One day I went home and asked my mother, and she was trying to explain to me, and I realized later on, she just didn't want to break me. So she just said, son, don't you ever let anybody tell you you're not as good as any other kid, and that maybe one day you'll make a difference. But when I saw tears roll down her eyes, that's when I got very upset, because then I realized, I said, this is something more than what she's telling me. And then later, I ended up fooled around and reported a crime, and the police officers got my name mixed up right along with the suspects when it went downtown, and then they came and locked me up before they realized they made a mistake. But by that time, I spent 2 days in jail. And then they released me and just said, no record, man, you got nothing, you're free. And that record ended up following me when I came out of college, and I had a 4-year degree and I was trying to get jobs. That record was there showing I got locked up. So they had to expunge the record, clear everything up. And that forced me, I think that made me really want to get into law enforcement and find out how can I be a change agent. And boy, was I in for a real rude awakening, because I just didn't understand and didn't know that you're going to be on an island by yourself. And when you start to make hold officers accountable for various things that you're seeing happening out there to people, they're going to turn on you. Those officers are going to turn on you. And that's where it started, like my career, when I started realizing what the real deal was. So when you start talking about the culture and what we're seeing and what we're hearing today, this is all sort of a takeoff from that, of watching how there are two double standards of policing in America. And I've worked on a lot of dragnet operations. I worked with Miami PD, Chicago, New York, LA. I mean, you just all over the country as U.S. Marshals on dragnet operations. And I begin to see how the culture, I'm sorry, did I?
No.
You want to ask another question?
No. I was just gonna say, so you mentioned something about when you're a new, I guess say a rookie out of academy, or you there's one thing they teach you in academy or in policing school, but then there's another thing once you get to the police force, they do it their way. So look, police departments, there's 16,000 police departments in the country, maybe 16 to 19,000 police units in the United States, and so they all have different ways the way they do things. They do it their way. New York does it their way. DC does it their way. Atlanta does it their way. So which is the correct way? Because right now it looks like African Americans are getting the brunt end of the stick.
Well, the bottom line is you got two things that you're talking about. It's one thing if you got just bad policing and police messing up corruption. But then when you throw in the racial aspect of it, that's like E equal MC squared, the speed of light. Once you put that in the formula, it changes everything. Now what happens is, not only do you have bad policing, but then it's bad against a certain ethnicity. Mm-hmm. So now that's where you got the race issue coming in it. Because human people are going to be human beings. People are going to mess up. You're going to have corruption no matter what race and color you are. Those things are going to happen. But when you can start directing it towards people of color, specifically, now that's where you got now a culture of indifference that says, going all the way back to slavery, that you don't belong over here.
Right.
And when we policing, you got judges, prosecutors, prison guards, everybody's in on the race issue. So once you could say Black lives really don't matter, because when I began to see how the policing was done, I began to realize long ago I could get away with stuff with Black folks. You better not go to some white neighborhood and try to do the same thing. That's not going to work. So once you begin to understand that, and you begin to see that it is a culture in place that says you can get away with stuff in African American communities. Matter of fact, get your numbers up. If you want to get your arrest records up and make it look like you're doing your job, you do it against Black people. You cannot go to white neighborhoods. And I never get a white manager telling me that. He said, Fogg, look here. He said, if we go out into these white neighborhoods and do some of the same stuff, he said, they know judges, they know lawyers, they know politicians. He said, they're not going to put up with it. He said, and we're going to get a phone call and they're going to shut our operation down. He said, so look, man, he said, just go to the weakest link. I said, well, man, that's ethnic cleansing.
Yeah, absolutely.
He didn't see it like that. He just saw it as, hey, you know, they still breaking the law. So if they're breaking the law, go get them. My thought was, if I can't go get the white folks and do the same thing to them that's breaking the law, then I'm violating their civil rights, because I'm breaking the law to enforce the law. And that's how my mentality started to take it. And when I would try to bring it to other people on the job, especially even other Black folks, we had been so trained to go after our own. It's like Harriet Tubman once said, I freed hundreds and would have freed thousands had they known they were slaves. That was the mentality that I was dealing with. So when you
okay, because this systemic racism in law enforcement has been around for a long time.
Right.
I mean, it was around back in the day when the chain gang, and you know, well, let's say back in slavery when you had that one, you know, you had the overseers, had the supervisors, and the supervisors would have the one Black person that would tell if they said, "Oh man, I saw him go under the bridge over there," or "I saw them go there and stop him." You know, so this policing of African Americans has nothing new. We've been going through it for years, right? But you know, it's not just in the Black community. It's in the systemic racism. It's in the law enforcement when it comes to other African American officers, right?
Right, exactly. We played a game. We played a role. I mean, it's the same thing as you mentioned about the plantation. When he put that whip in that Black man's hand and said, "You the overseer," that man had to hit you harder with that whip than that white man would, because he knew if he didn't, if the slaves revolted or did anything wrong, they would take him and put him in the field and put one of those other Blacks over him. So it's the same in law enforcement. A lot of times we'll see the racism. We'll understand that we're in this culture that is a racial divide, two different ways of policing. But we know we open our mouths. We know they can always find another Black to replace us.
Right.
And then what they start to do is discredit you. Now, you know, I won a major lawsuit, civil rights lawsuit against my department in 1998. I filed that complaint in 1985. From 85 to 98, they left me on a stakeout to get killed. They didn't promote me. A lot of things that happened to me. I spoke out against what they was doing to other Black marshals. I got put on an island. They fired me. I got evicted right over here in Southeast DC by my U.S. Marshal colleagues.
Wow.
Man, I went through a lot, man. And I'm going to tell you something. I sit out there at night. I never get that night. I sit out there and all my stuff, and I'm trying to watch over it. And I started praying to God. And I said, Lord, you know, I need you. And all of a sudden, man, it started raining.
Oh, wow. Sorry about that.
The Lord said, walk away from it. He said, because I'm going to restore what the cankerworm is taking.
Right.
But let me tell you something, man. When you're in this field, it's a good old boy network. And you go along to get along. And it's a command and control environment. So we know we can kill, we can maim, we can do a lot of stuff. There's a lot of discretion that we have, that we understand this culture and how it works. And, you know, I tell people, I say, when they send you to an academy, while you're learning the right ways to do things, you're also learning how to do the wrong way to do things, because you're learning how to circumvent the right ways. So it's a two-way street. So once you get to that culture, and like I said, one of the things they used to say is, if you run you got an ass whooping coming. You know, excuse the expression. They will
Okay.
beat you down if you run from the police. And I used to say, that's not our job. Just because somebody, I said, I'd expect some folks to run. That's just what people are going to do. But the culture was when you catch them, you beat them down. So that's just one little thing just to show you. And all of the things they could do, throw a nickel bag down on some young brothers going to college, and boom, now their lives are messed up, their careers are messed up, everything. These are all of the stuff that they can do, right down to what we see when we see these extraordinary murders and these killings of Black folks. This stuff has been going on all along. It's just the video cameras are catching it now.
So why didn't the African Americans that were police officers stand up and say, "Hey, I'm not going to let you do that to this young African American man"? I mean, I had a guy who was was talking to earlier this week, and he's Secret Service. I'm not calling no names, but he was sharing his story with me, and they said that just leaving open in Prince George's County where he lived, and I couldn't identify with him because I mean not ever being a police officer, but I know when I lived in Prince George's County. It was back in the 90s, and I had a Lexus. I always liked nice cars. And I was at Addison Road and Central Avenue. I was on my way home from church, from a rehearsal. And as soon as I pulled off to the light, you know, the red and blue light came on behind me. You know, I mean, right there by the subway station. So I'm like, okay, what did I do? It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm tired. I want to go home. I've been at work all day. I was, you know, in church rehearsal, and now I'm trying to get home, and the officer, it was a white officer. He pulled me over. He asked for my, told me to put my hands up on the steering wheel and asked for my ID and registration of the car and insurance information. I gave it to him. He came back, and he gave me a warning. And I asked him, what is the warning for? And he fumbled. He fumbled for at least 5 to 6 seconds before he could tell me that I had a light in my tag that was out.
Right.
A light in my tag, and you stopped me at 10:30 at night to tell me that, you know, and you make me wait all this time, and he could have easily let me go and say, "Hey, get it fixed." No, he wrote me up, and I had to. And this is the funny part about it. It took me 2 weeks to go find the bub, and then to take it someplace to get the car fixed. And then and he said you got to bring the receipt back to this precinct. I went to this precinct to bring the receipt, and another police officer came back and said, "Oh man, you didn't have to do that." Really, really. And so
Well, see,
I mean,
you know, but you know, Glover, that's the thing. Police officers, we got so much discretion, so many reasons we can stop you, and just even if it ain't true, we can make up stuff. I mean, I smelled marijuana, or you swerved, your vehicle swerved, and I noticed that, so I wasn't sure if you were drunk or whatever, and then just take you through the 3rd degree. And then if you decide to challenge it, which, you know, Black folks, it's a different world than when white people challenge things.
Yes.
Like we saw what happened to this Black lieutenant, when he asked him, "Why'd y'all stop me? What's up?" And next thing you know, he's getting maced and everything else. And don't drive. Like if they pulling you over and you drive someplace where you're gonna get a lit up area, they're gonna be hot. They're gonna be upset with you when you do stop, and might be ready to lock you up, saying that you was disobeying a lawful order to stop when you saw my lights. So
wow.
It's so much that we can get away with in law enforcement. And what we're seeing with these cameras today, that people are actually seeing how people are just being killed, even if you run. I mean, if you jump in your car like the young man did, they had the funeral for the day where the officer said that.
Brother Wright,
Yeah.
Dante Wright. Mm-hmm.
That's correct. And where the officer said, you know, she thought she was pulling out her taser. Now, let me tell you some of them tasers. I never have liked the trigger pull on a taser. I said that 20 years ago, 15, when they started making, I said, it should not be a trigger pull. I said, because officers can use that to say, boy, I was thinking I had my gun and it was my taser. And to be honest with you, in a melee where stuff is happening real fast, yes, out in that street, if you tell somebody you trying to arrest somebody and all of a sudden they just snatch away from you, they go and they jump in their car, you really don't know what they're going to do. Because our training teaches us you don't let somebody get in their car if you're trying to arrest them. And the law says whatever force is necessary to effect the arrest. So a lot of people don't know these things in the public, but we as law enforcement officers know it. So you jump up and you make a sudden move and you run and jump in your car and everything. Now, all my heightened senses, everything goes into full blast, as they say, and all my phasers are on full. You know what I mean? And so what happens is, boom! Now you're reacting real fast, and at that split second, you may squeeze off a round. I was doing an eviction. I had a lady had her hands. Now you know U.S. Marshals, we do eviction indeed.
Right.
I'm doing eviction. The lady's got her hands up in the closet. And she's got her back there and she won't come out of the closet. I try to pull out of the closet. She snatches away from me, but she keeps her hands where I can't see them. All of a sudden in my mind, I envision her coming out with a World War II cannon. I mean, I'm just saying, the bottom line was, I'm thinking, what is she going to do? She's got a black high heel shoe in her hand.
Oh my God, she's going to do with a shoe.
She turns around and points it at me and screams. Now, if I had shot that lady, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You can imagine what would have been said as far as U.S. Marshals shoot a woman with a shoe in her hand. Yeah. And it just would have been a mess. I didn't fire a round. But what I'm saying to you is that those are things that when you're in a melee, you can make a move. The problem that I got with law enforcement is everybody else does. We're seeing this disproportionate number of young black men being killed by police on things that white folks do the same thing.
Absolutely.
They do all of these things. They jump, they run from the police, they say, why you stop me? They get belligerent. Everything that human beings can do at times, they will do it. We just don't hear these stories where you don't hear the same things happening to them that you hear happening to blacks.
Right.
So you can see the double standards. You can see racially. And when that guy told me, white manager said, Fogg, if we go into white neighborhoods, they're not going to put up with it. Now, I've always said, if it was an equal opportunity enforcement operation, if we enforced it equally to everybody, we would have changed a lot of this stuff a long time ago as far as how we do things.
Right.
Okay? And the way we do it. But it wasn't equal, so black lives really didn't matter.
Right. So okay, here we are, we're in 2021. I mean, we've had the Emmett Till situations, way before our time, when we were probably little kids, or probably weren't even born. And then we had the Rodney King, where,
right.
And Emmett Till, that wasn't on TV. There was no cameras.
Absolutely
there were no
not.
phones. There were no way of showing what really happened. But then you have the Rodney King, and you see he's walking away, and they're beating him. They're chasing him down and beating him. But, the guy's down on the ground. How often are you going to continue to beat him? So there's got to be a way that officers are taught, okay, you got a person restraint. Okay, now you got to, you sit him in the car, you put him behind, put the handcuffs on him and sit him in the car, but you don't keep beating him. Why do you keep? It's like beating a dead dog. It's like beating a dog.
But that's what you see. That's why I said in discretion in law enforcement, you got a lot of guys on these jobs that didn't like black folks. They should have never been on the job anyway.
Right, I agree.
And so you put these people, they're buddies and friends. They hire each other, look out for each other. It's a culture. So if you want to beat up on black folks, become a cop. Become something that gives you a legitimate reason to do it. Now, you turn around and you do the same thing to somebody white is a different story. Yeah. I never get my twin brother now. My twin brother's Maryland State Trooper. I'm a U.S. Marshal. He gets a phone call, man with a gun. It's a white guy. Mark, the location I knew where it was at. I said, Mark, I know where that location is. Now, I'm a U.S. Marshal. That wasn't my call, but I heard where my twin brother's going. I said, Mark, I'll meet you there. We meet over in PG County, meet this guy, and he's sitting in his back alley, and he's got a rifle. His door's open. He's got a rifle across his lap, but it's a white guy. He's sitting in the car, and Mark is giving him commands. Sir, throw the weapon out and throw your hands up. Guy wouldn't do nothing. He was just sitting there. All of a sudden, a white corporal, state trooper, comes and pulls up next to my brother, Mark. We all three are aiming at this guy. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, God, I hope we don't have to kill this guy. I hope we don't have to shoot him, kill him. All of a sudden, go pow, So normally, man, our training, when one person fires, everybody starts firing.
Right.
But you just mentally somehow think they're shooting at you. I mean, this is just a psychological thing they explain to you that happens to people. Right. But anyway, pow, right? So the guy said, okay, and he just all of a sudden he threw the gun out and put his hands, okay. So
We ran over, got the guy cuffs up. I said, Mark, did you fire your gun? He said, no, did you fire? I said, no. The corporal fired at this guy point blank and missed. Okay, it was a white guy firing him. But my point is he missed him. But in reality, what I'm just saying is normally, and now that guy probably been black, you know, and there had been white cops out there, they were shooting him before he even could do anything else.
Well, and that's
once they said, throw the gun out, he's gonna get some rounds in him.
And
so,
that's what's happening today. They're shooting off so many rounds into one person. I mean, you know, and again, I don't know anything about law enforcement. You know, I only know what I read when I pick up a book about it. But you know, when I see what happens in the news, and I see that, you know, a black man maybe is running away because he's fearful, and they shoot him not just one time, not just two times, not in the leg, not in the arm, but, you know, full mass. You know,
right.
5, 6 rounds.
Arms and legs. I mean, that our training says you cannot shoot him in the arm and leg. If I got to use it, it's considered imminent danger and deadly force. And when I pull that gun out and I fire a round off, I've got to be able to justify why I used deadly force, because that's what it is.
Right.
And they don't want us trying to say, like, let's just say I say, oh, I tried to shoot him in the arm and I shoot you in your forehead. People ain't gonna want to hear that either.
Okay.
Because I might miss and hit your foot. So they just say, if I crank a round off, I got to be able to justify why I use deadly force against you.
Right.
And that means now force meets force. I had to either fear for my life or fear for somebody else. Now, you see the young girl that the guy just shot. Okay, it appeared from just watching the videos and stuff that, of course, the young lady had a knife, and it appeared like she was might going to kill the other girl, stab the other girl. Our training allows us, if we think somebody else is going to be killed, we can fire on you. So
wow.
This is the type of training we get, you know, endanger ourselves or anybody in the public, we can fire on you.
Wow, that's crazy. But, you know, I mean, well, I think that right now the United States have to deal with this. The government, you know, the Congress. There has to be some laws, and I believe now that even though I was breathing very heavily at home watching the trial. It was hard to focus. I was having dreams because I watched that video when it first happened back last year, and then to see it again and again, and to hear the man crying for his mother, you know, and then, you know, and this guy just to sit there calmly on his neck, you know. Yeah. I was breathing because I've seen so many other things where they've been acquitted, and I'm not talking about 5 or 6 years ago, up to like last year, stuff that happened last year. I mean, let's look at Kentucky. You know, Breonna Taylor, the guy was charged for shooting in the air. You know, right. I mean, come on now. And she was a public servant, you know.
See, there's so many laws and so many things when you talk about law enforcement officers, whether or not they heard us or don't. A lot of cops would jump out on people. They didn't know they were the police. And then your automatic response is to pull away, jerk, whatever. Well, you know, law enforcement be like, man, you black, he jerking, he black, let's beat him. It's open season, like we saw what they was doing to Rodney King. And I took a SWAT team out there to back LAPD up after the Rodney King ride. But the reality of it is that when you see, like I was on CNN, and we were talking about the Eric Gardner killing, when the guy choked him to death on TV. In front of everybody. Remember that?
I remember that. And I remember seeing you on CNN too.
Right. And, you know, I was pretty, usually I don't get emotionally upset in that sense, especially when another cop and we just debating. But they had another cop on there. And this thing that Net was asking, was that a good takedown? Was that arresting? He was like, oh, yeah, that was a good takedown. It was a good takedown. So I didn't say anything. I waited, let him talk. And she said, Matt, what do you think about that? I said, it was straight up murder. I didn't pull no punches, right? Now, normally, law enforcement officers, you know, they always try to vacillate, waffle, you know, look out for the officers, don't want to tell it like it really is. You know, even though we know that dude was wrong behind closed doors, we get on TV, well, it was this and no, because what really got me about the situation was the New York Police Commissioner had outlawed that chokehold because too many people were being killed by it. Because when you're in a melee, you don't know how much pressure you're putting on somebody's neck, and you may wind up killing them, not realizing what everybody else is pulling on them and everything. So when I said it was murder, because I said they had outlawed that particular chokehold. Then I said, and on top of that, the guy said he could not breathe.
Right.
But officers' mentality was, when after he said he couldn't breathe, that means he can breathe.
Yeah, see, and that's a sad thing, you know. Mark, Matthew, I'm sorry, I know both of you and your brother, but and I know both of you guys been in law enforcement for a long time. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of time left. The show has got to go off, and you know,
Okay.
I want to first say thank you, you know, for taking the time. I know you've been on a lot of shows today, and this week, you know, with the verdict, you know, on the George Floyd case, and then you know the funeral for Dante Wright today, then the young lady, the 16-year-old girl who was shot by police, and there's just so much going on in the world. Give me some before because I have to get out of here. My director and my engineers are looking at me. Okay, Regina, it's one of those type of this is one of those type of shows. I just don't do a lot of it because I'm a wine show and it's entertainment. But every once in a while, just like I did 5 years ago when I had you on the show back in 2013, it was because of the same situation. And I like to always bring a level-headed law enforcement officer that can come in and just give the real nuts and bolts of what's going on. But what, as you're closing, what would you say that can be done to curb this and to bring the black community and law enforcement together? I remember when I was a kid, and I'm gonna make it really short, that I remember walking out the house and there were police officers up and down the street, not up and down, but every once in a while they did their rounds. And you knew them. You knew Officer Friendly. Right. You knew Officer so-and-so, you know, hey, how you doing, you know. But nowadays, you're even scared to say hello. So in closing, you know, and I know I have to get out here, and I appreciate my listeners for bearing with us on this because it's a wine show, fashion, you know. That's why I did all the wine stuff in the beginning. What can you say? Where are we going? I know you're part of a foundation, and, you know, you got your book out that's coming out, Badges and Bigots and Badges, right?
Biggest with badges.
Biggest with badges. Yeah, I see that. Yeah. So, and definitely want to make sure that when you're ready to publish, when it's coming out, that you come back on the show and give some more details. There's Bigots with Badges. Yeah. In closing, where are we? Where are we? What's the state of play now? You know, what needs to be done?
Right now in the state, okay, they've got congressional legislation in Congress. That's federal legislation to make a lot of changes in police departments. And that means officers got to wear body cameras. When officers are tagged and seen as bad officers or get fired, they will put in a police registry so you can look them up and know before you hire them if they can't run to some other department and get a job. And how you are going to be policing in communities where you got to live in those communities. There's a lot of different things that you can do. Audits of police departments. I've been saying this all along. You just go in and do an audit of most police departments, you're going to see racial disparate impact, you know, on steroids. Okay, so you're going to see that. So you do that. Now you can start pointing out these officers and picking out the ones who were doing most of the car stops for African Americans and all of the racial disparities. Because once you start exposing things, that's when you start to get change. Yeah. Once Black Lives Matter started walking out and saying Black Lives Matter, and people started coming together, and we had the pandemic, so it caused more people to get involved. You started seeing what we're hearing now. So I think there's room for change. You know, they say defund the police. You're not going to defund them, but what you will do is scrutinize them to the point that where they're not the only ones calling the shots, but you got civilians calling the shots, civilian review boards and oversight. You got to have oversight on top of oversight. And that's where we are now. And I think those are the things that's going to change things. Don't wait until an incident happened and all of a sudden, like they're doing right now. Now they're saying they're going to go into Minnesota and look into the police department and uncover the rocks and go and look and see what they're doing. Well, you need to be doing that in a lot of NYPD, LAPD, Chicago, New York, Miami, and then all these little state and local police departments. Right. You say you uncover that. That's when we will start to see the change that we want to see. And a lot of these people are going to start quitting, these bad cops who can't find out they can't get away with the stuff they've been getting away with. They're not going to want to be a part of it anymore. So that's when you're going to start to see the change.
So it needs to be a cleansing. Matthew.
Definitely, brother.
Matthew, we really appreciate you, man. You know, you're always there when I call on you to come and to break it down. and to give some history. And a lot of people just don't know the history. You're from you were in the inside, so you saw what was going on. And I know that you work with a lot of the organizations now out there.
Right. Blacks in government, different
right.
ones. Yeah.
Right. So it's about time that Blacks in Government, NAACP, Action Network, all these organizations that are that speaking up now to actually push. They should all come together with
That's
one
right.
mandate to Congress and go to Capitol Hill and say, this is what we want. This is what's got to be done. That bill, the George Floyd,
right,
bill. But I believe that if all of the groups and all the activists out there, if they all go and not flood, I take that back. Let me take that back. I don't want to say flood because I'm not talking about nothing like they did on January the 6th. But if we go like gentlemen and women and plead our cases to the Congress, I think they will listen. I think they will.
Right.
Anyway, hey, thank you so much. Really appreciate you. I thank you for standing on the wall for us, and continue to do that, and continue to be an ear that people can actually reach out to you and to, be able to share, their gripes with. So, because we need ears like yourself. To Black Lives Matter, to all the advocates and the people who are the foot soldiers, continue to do the fight, because the battle is not won, just by one verdict. Continue.
And if they want to reach out to me,
yes,
if they want to reach out to me, they can reach me I'm on Facebook, my name. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram. They can get me on any of those things. And they can type in my website, bigotswithbadges.com.
Great.
They can reach out to me and reach me and have a discussion.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I was going to say that too, but our time is out. Again, I would appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. Thank you to my guest, retired U.S. Marshal Matthew Fogg. You can reach him on Facebook. You can reach out to his book, it's Bigots with Badges. But I want to say this as I close, because I always say something about closing, but I just want to say I encourage Black Lives Matter. I encourage all those folks who are on the ground, advocating for better policing. It's not so much to defund the police, but because I think the more money they get, the better training they can be able to provide to the police forces. So we don't want to defund them. We want to fund them so they can have more resources to train and to weed out the bad policemen and women out there. Keep the hope, keep the faith, be encouraged, and we'll see you next week in the Cellar, where we talk about wine, fashion, and lifestyle. And again, my condolences to the families that have lost loved ones, to Dante Wright, to the 16-year-old girl. And I'm very happy for the George Floyd family and the verdict that went down earlier this week. Like I say, take time, demystify, enjoy some fine wine, and I'll see you next time in the Cellar. Thank you so much for tonight.